Hello, everybody. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is So I'm Watching Barry, Season 3, Episode 3, Ben Mendelsohn. I wondered why it was called that.
Yeah, I was very confused.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible reason why it's called that. I don't think he'd make a great Spider-Man.
I don't think so either.
Love Ben Mendelsohn. Think he's great. He's way too old for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Even like the over-the-hill Spider-Man from Into the Spider-Verse, he's too old for that.
Yeah.
Because that's like...
He's very much an Uncle Ben type.
I was going to say Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
This episode was actually directed by Alec Berg, not Bill Hader. The first one this season.
Honestly, I can tell.
Yeah, it's different. The extreme close-ups he was using of Henry Winkler were very cool. Because we're supposed to be really in Cousineau's mind as he's literally all he's doing. He's getting his makeup done. He's on set, all of this stuff, and you can tell the only thing he's doing is trying to figure a way out of this deal with Barry.
Yep.
Essentially. I love it.
Me too. I mean, and it's just, he's such a talented actor. And for me, I know this is something that probably everyone does, but reconciling with the fact that he is Fonzie.
Yeah.
To this, it's crazy.
Well, it's a similar thing for me as it is with Bill Hader, which I am not as acquainted with all of Henry Winkler's work. And I never really watched
Happy Days?
Happy Days. So I don't even really know him from that, but all I mostly know him is from comedies. And so it's a very similar thing watching him do this drama is fascinating to watch because it happens less today, but I sort of long for the people who got typecast in the 60s and 70s and 80s and even 90s as one thing that they weren't able to break out and do drama. I don't know, someone maybe Deborah Messing, you only really see her in comedies and she's had a couple dramatic shows that didn't go. And I think it's unfortunate because I think she could really be good at it.
And it's fascinating because I feel like being comedic is
harder.
It is more difficult for sure. It's easy to be dramatic. I mean, everyone that is a very deep well and you can use it and it's very easy to be upset, but to be successful at comedy is a show of a great talent.
And the thing is one of my favorite people, I read a whole article about it. They interviewed Juno Temple after or during season 2 of Ted Lasso. And they were like, what's this like for you? Because it's not really close to anything you've done before because she was generally a dramatic actress before. And she was like, the thing that's so great is that everybody else on set just wants everybody to succeed. So they are all super helpful. And I was really nervous, but now that I've been in it a little while, I'm more comfortable. And I think that's the thing is it needs to be a little more open, but I think dramatic actors are also scared to try comedy because it's so different. And I think a lot of times they know it's harder.
I felt more accomplished getting laughs from any audience member ever than I did for making people cry.
Right.
For me, I just have a core memory of just an entire theater laughing hysterically at me. And I was just this is better than drugs. I love this.
Amazing.
And I just felt so much more accomplished because of that.
Well, that's the other thing too is especially when I watch movies and TV, I can always feel it when I'm being emotionally manipulated to be sad.
Oh yeah. Well, because
always.
If I know I need to cry, but I need the jump start, I know what movies I need to watch that are completely manipulating me.
100%. And I mean, I can skip to individual scenes in most movies that'll just do it for me. And I've mentioned on this thing before, to you specifically, that there is a one section with Margot Martindale of Paris Je T'aime that Alexander Payne directed, and that friggin' gets me every single time. And it's not even really overtly sad, but it's unbelievable. And so I think you can't emotionally manipulate someone into laughing. And
No, and I'm very hard, because Will says all the time that you're a good one to watch comedies with, which I agree, because I don't laugh. I am aware that things are funny and I will smile.
Yeah.
But it takes me way too long and then I break at really dumb shit.
Yeah. So I think that's something that's so interesting to me about comedy versus drama. And we've discussed it for sure. I just love it so much when these comedic people do drama.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me so happy because they're so good at it. And that's not to say every comedic actor is good at drama. But
no, because you can slam too hard into it where it's just like, okay.
But even when Bill Hader was on SNL and comedy was the only thing we were seeing him do, and like sketch comedy and improv sketch comedy at that, which is such a specific niche thing, you can see that there's more behind the eyes. You know what I mean?
Yes. And I think it's because he is an improv actor, because you have to do so much
work
so quickly.
Yeah.
And without showing that wheels are turning.
Yeah.
And so I have chills just talking about it, because his dramatic performance is so contained, and you can tell that there's work going on.
Yeah,
but it's in a way that is helpful to the performance, so you 100%. Can tell that there's internal strife going on.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
It's so fantastic, and like I'm gonna pinpoint a moment that's so small but makes such an impact on every character in the scene, and it's when they're both getting their makeup done to be in this scene of this legal show, and Barry is in the background getting his makeup done, and Mr. Cousineau...
Out of focus completely.
Out of focus, totally. And Mr. Cousineau is in the foreground, and he is talking with the producer and the showrunner of this show. And the showrunner remembers him, and he's like, do you remember me? You threw hot tea in my face because your omelet had chives. And the whole time, Mr. Cousineau is like, I'm going to need more information than that, because apparently it happened so much. Which I love also these glimpses into, like, Mr. Cousineau is also not a good person. It's on a way different level than Barry. But he's also not a good person.
Mm-hmm.
He's been blackballed from the industry because he's such a bad person. So anyway, they're like, hey, we were so impressed with blah, 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 this and the other. And like, you've been great so far. And like, we love Barry and this is great. So like, we're actually going to give your character a line. And he's like, you're giving me a line. And you can see him like he almost wants to fight about it.
Mm-hmm.
And in the background, still out of focus, Barry goes, what do you say, Mr. Cousineau? Like a child, like talking to a child. And first of all, it's probably the funniest part of this episode.
Oh, yeah.
The funniest moment of this episode. And then it's also it's got that undercurrent of drama because he's blackmailing him. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'll get you back in the industry if you just shut the fuck up about your girlfriend that I killed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the levels and the layers on the show, I can't handle it. It's so good.
Because I mean, we even begun with the makeup person asking him about his family. And so he says that his son and grandson live with him.
Yeah.
So because his son lost his job and doesn't have any money, so he's staying with them for a while. So you have that to begin with.
Yeah.
And so then you see that he's like struggling with what he wants to say to these people, but he knows that he has to say thank you because he has a son and a grandson that are living with him. It is masterful.
It's so good. And I just like, it's also a show that you can tell that like Alec Berg and Bill Hader are really thinking about everything.
Right.
Because we've also seen they're not doing it for season 3, or I don't know if you have to watch it. I mean, we did watch it on demand, so I don't know. But they're not doing those like after the episode talks anymore.
Yeah, I'm bummed about it because I like that so much.
Me too. But like having watched the first 2 seasons where they do that, it's very clear that they have, and I mean, certain things like fall into their laps, like timing and plot wise, but they also are, I know that they have a plan.
Oh yeah.
And it's so comforting.
These are fully formed like characters and plot lines for sure.
I love it. So Sally also has her press junket. We actually blessedly don't see too much of it.
Yes, I was like kind of just because I didn't want to see how awkward it was going to be because it's the secondhand embarrassment. I can't do it.
Well, so again, it's the same thing with Jean where it's like I almost don't feel bad for Sally because she's a bad person. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like that's I think one of my favorite things about this show is that I feel so bad for Barry, and he is arguably the worst person. I mean, we watched him go on a massacre essentially and kill dozens of people at the end of last season, and still I'm like, oh, he's just misunderstood.
He was having a bad day.
But meanwhile, I'm like, burn Sally at the stake. Like, I'm done with her. But the thing is like, she and the press people are bad on an equal footing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing about Barry is nobody knows that he's bad on a way other footing.
I think the difference is that everyone else is bad, but they think they're good. And
Sure.
because they think that they're good, they don't have to try to be better.
Okay.
Barry knows that he's bad. And so he has to try to be good.
And he wants to be good.
Yes, to prove, because everyone thinks he's good, but he has to prove to himself and prove to all the people that he's killed that he is a good person.
100%. I buy that for sure. So that's where we get the Ben Mendelsohn from, is because they're like, every person that comes in is like, hey, Sally, how you doing, girl?
Hey, girl. Hey,
like,
girl boss.
Like, they know
you feeling
her.
hundo?
And they're like, oh my God, so this was filmed in Joplin, and you grew up in Joplin. What's that like? And then she's like, who do you think would be a better Spider-Man? And it's like, which apparently my husband told us came like direct from a junket that Bill Hader was on.
It's wild.
At one point, which is unbelievable. I mean, I guess I get it. You only have like 3 minutes with the person, but regardless.
I feel really bad for actors or for anyone that has to sit through the press. Because I just feel bad for everyone involved, because it's so awkward, you know, and there is a job that has to be done. And, you know, if you're an actor that's being asked these rapid fire same questions
over
for
and over
hours on end.
Well, she's also doing the press totally alone. And like, I don't know why they would let Elsie do the press totally alone. But that's what's always so fun, especially about like, I mean, even like Dune, but like the Marvel movies and stuff, where like they always pair them interestingly.
Yeah.
And so the actors get to be paired interestingly. And so they end up having like more fun than anything. But yeah, I will take this moment to say that one of my favorite junket scenes in a movie is from the movie America's Sweethearts with John Cusack and Catherine Zeta-Jones. And they like, it's the same thing where you can tell they're getting asked the same questions over and over. But Catherine Zeta-Jones's answers get more and more effusive as they go. She's just bullshitting towards the end, where she's like, we're on the phone 3-4 hours a day, and they're like estranged ex-spouses. It's hilarious.
I mean, I feel like I would get to a point where I'm just so exhausted that I would just start like making shit up at that point.
Yeah, it's so funny.
To make it interesting for myself, where I'm not just like...
We would both, I think we would both pull a Robert Pattinson, where we would just like outright lie in interviews and then not remember that we lied. And so we're like directly contradicting ourselves.
What? What did I say?
That doesn't... He said something one time about how like a clown died at a party or something that he was at. And then come to find out, he was like, no, I was just fucking with the person. I was so bored.
I love him so much.
So funny.
God. Jawline and a liar.
Yeah, gimme.
Give it to me.
Apparently he's still with Suki Waterhouse, which I didn't know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mazel. Good for them.
Okay. Meanwhile, all that stuff is happening. Actually, I guess let's finish with Sally and Elsie. Her character name's Katie. Let's finish with her, because she's doing this. She offers to drive Katie to the premiere in her car with Barry, or like the limo or whatever. And she says no. And so Darcy Carden, Natalie, comes up to her after Sally leaves and is like, hey, just like a little bit of advice. If the like, you know, creator of the show offers you a ride to the premiere, you should take it. And she voices her concerns again. She's like, I don't like Barry. He scares me. He like screamed at Sally the other day on set. I don't know. Or like in her office. I don't want to be involved in that. And Natalie goes on this like verbal diarrhea journey, kind of, where everything she's saying is totally confirming Katie's suspicions, but she doesn't get it. She just was like, oh yeah, he does that sometimes, but like, he's a good guy. He like yelled at us a couple of times in acting class and told us how he killed a bunch of people in some war.
Ma'am.
It lasted for like 20 years. Like, you're killing me. And so she's just playing it off. She's like, but he's not violent at all. And I'm just like, I mean, okay. But like, also, you can also just see it in Elsie's performance and Katie's character, how this is just, it's gonna wear her down to the point where none of it registers anymore. And you can see the cycle taking hold. You can like see the snowball rolling down the hill. And it's so upsetting to watch, especially like thinking that we've made any kind of progress at this point.
Because it's like, all we hear is see something, say something.
Yeah.
And then the rare time that we say something, it's just like, oh, but you don't understand. Yeah. Oh, but there's other things going on. And it's like, well, I saw something and I was told to say something.
Yeah.
And it's just, oh my God, it's awful.
Meanwhile, Fuchs is still in, where did we decide?
He's in Chechnya.
Chechnya. Mm-hmm. I always want to say Croatia, and that's not right. So he's still in Chechnya. He is.
I hate him.
Fuchs?
Yes.
Sure.
He really bothered me this episode.
He's a bad guy.
And I don't know what it is specifically about this episode that really kind of like, no, I know what it is. It's because he's enjoying himself. And sure. Like, you don't get that.
Well, he's in exile, but he's not being constantly watched by that guy anymore. He's now living with Anna, who I don't know if I'm going to say their last name right, but her acting name is Marika Dominczyk, I think. It's like CZYK are the last.
Oh, that's probably Chick. Dominczyk.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So she's hot.
Yeah, oh my God.
And
he does not deserve her. What do you do? I mean, she lives in the middle of nowhere. In Chechnya. So
Fuchs doesn't deserve her.
No.
But I think Stephen Root could deserve her.
Yeah.
He seems like a nice man.
He does, but that's not Fuchs.
No, not Fuchs. So he's out there living his best shepherd life.
Yeah, because I guess it's like springtime now.
Yeah.
And so it looks all idyllic. And
he's like tending goats and apparently plowing Anna and, just having a grand old time. So NoHo Hank is trying to get him back in town to give the Bolivians like a straw man, essentially. Because
he's the patsy.
Exactly. So if he's spotted around town, the Bolivians will go after him, stop going after the Chechens. And Cristobal is also sort of trying to facilitate something from his end, but it's like unclear how that's going with Fernando. It's like,
well, he's trying to get them out before they do anything else to the Chechens, basically.
Hank, yeah.
And so he's like, because he obviously knows about Fuchs being a patsy.
Yeah.
And so he is absolutely trying to like
maneuver.
Yeah.
So they're both trying to maneuver, but they're not able to contact each other very freely. So they're kind of both maneuvering at the same time and hoping that their plans coincide, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, Fuchs is like, nah, I'm good. I don't feel like I want to come back.
Fucking bastard.
Yeah. And he's like, I don't feel like it. So Hank is left scrambling, obviously. And then either Batir or Yandar went and bought a bomb.
Oh, Batir.
Bought a bomb on the black market. And then they're going to make Akmal, who isn't he the one that got shot in the arm in season 2? Or season 1, they're going to make him deliver it. And he's like, why me? Like, that's mean. Love the whole thing. As always, the Chechens are so hilarious. It seems in that case.
Oh my God. Can we just really quick talk about NoHo Hank calling someone a chode?
Yes.
We don't use that word enough anymore.
We don't.
So good.
And he just basically was like, because they get back to their like house, the like greenhouse nursery place where it's been shot up, and they're looking around and they're like, it's got to be the Bolivians. They want their heroin back, whatever. And Hank is just like, I doubt it. It has to just be teenagers walking around acting like chodes. But the way the accent that he's doing, that he says it in the accent, and he almost like stumbles over the word. Like he takes a beat before he says chode. I don't know. It was very funny.
So just Anthony Carrigan. I love you so much.
He's so good. I think he's so great. So then I don't again remember which, maybe it was Batir that was speaking to him also.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because Batir basically is like the one in charge now.
Okay.
Because they flew him in
right
after the other guy died.
Right.
So he is effectively in charge, but he's not effective.
So that's the other thing, though, is like I think now he's suspicious of Hank.
Oh yeah, well,
like wanting to protect Cristobal.
Him and
was it Yandar the other one?
No.
Fernando.
Yeah. Both of them gave wiggly eyes, and because especially when Fernando was like, "Yeah, I'll take them to Johnny Rockets and be like, hey, we're going back to Bolivia for no reason."
Yeah,
it's just I'm stressed for them.
I'm stressed too. I really liked. Because you could see it in Anthony Carrigan's eyes that he was like, oh shit. Like I went too far. I overstepped. Now he's suspicious. he's almost crying.
Yeah. Well, because he suggested to bring back in Barry to be the one to drop off the bomb.
Yeah.
And so Batir's like, but you said that
Barry's crazy.
Yeah. And it's all bad. And then, we said, but you still wanted to plant everything on Fuchs. And so he's really putting everything together.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, ugh.
Yeah. I love it. It's so interesting. I love this show.
Me too.
It's so good.
Oh, the scene.
Oh, yes. So
Mark Paul Gosselaar. Hey, how are you?
This legal show that they're working on
where
stars
his
Mark
name
Paul Gosselaar
is humanity. I cannot.
Look, a lot of them are on the nose.
This would be on NBC.
Yeah.
This would be on BC for sure. NBC.
CBS.
You think so?
CBS. NBC is better than that.
Okay. They just if it was a medical drama, it would definitely be NBC. Because I feel like all NBC is now is just medical dramas, and this is us.
That's almost over. Every week I think it's the finale, and every week it's not, and I think it's over.
I forgot that it was even on still.
Okay, I watched it for like a while, for like 2.5 seasons, but the reason I was watching is because I wanted to tweet about it, but then I couldn't tweet about it because those fans take it so seriously.
See, and that's one of the shows that I refuse to watch because I refuse to be emotionally manipulated.
It is super emotionally manipulated.
Yeah,
but you know who created the show is the guy who wrote Crazy Stupid Love.
Oh.
Yeah. I much prefer that version of him than
I'll just watch Crazy Stupid Love because that movie is perfection.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So yes, it stars Mark Paul Gosselaar. Always welcome. I need him to get another show that goes more than one season that's not Saved by the Bell, which also just got canceled by Peacock.
Oh,
yeah. Basically, Gene is playing a man whose wife was who died
as a result of Big Pharma.
Big Pharma, and Barry plays the Big Pharma guy, and so the reason he gets the line is because Barry's supposed to come in and say it's my fault and I've had a change of heart and I feel terrible and like please accept my apology or whatever. And Gene is supposed to say I forgive you, and instead he stands up and he says fuck you and like I'll never forgive you and stay away from my family, and then he punches him and he walks out. And so presumably Barry lost the job as well because then he calls Hank back and tells him he'll do the job with the bomb. I hope that there aren't heavy repercussions for Gene. He did ask when they were running lines if Janice suffered, and Barry says no. I mean he's a sniper and he shot her presumably in right in the head.
1-2.
Yeah,
because I think we got a close up of him shooting. Oh yeah, just like her Patagonia.
Oh okay. So then hopefully right through the heart you die basically immediately.
Yeah.
Certainly she didn't suffer. Certainly she was dead with the second shot. So certainly she didn't suffer for long. And he then starts to blame himself because it's the story about the like uncle, family friend that got Barry into like the business or whatever. And he passed that off as just a monologue, but it was true. I don't know. I like it. Like I said, I hope there aren't heavy consequences.
Well,
for
and
Gene.
When he walked out, he like took his jacket off and he threw it on the ground, and then he like started walking faster and then was like shit, and then started running and be like shit, because he realized like
what he'd done.
And I just have to shout out Gene Wilder again. Is that right?
Willy Wonka.
That's not the right name. What is his name?
Henry Winkler.
My God.
I was like, I was willing to follow you on that journey, and that mind journey to Gene Wilder.
Wow. Okay. You know what? Here's the journey I went on. It's because his character's name was Gene.
Yeah.
And then the Winkler became Wilder.
Sure.
Yep. So I took a nap before we did this, and I don't think I'm fully awake.
I'm not there
Anyway,
yet.
I wanted to give him a shout out because in the scene when Barry puts his hand on his shoulder, it was very, very slight. He pulled away.
Yep.
And it wasn't big.
No.
It was, but you still could see it, and it was fantastic body acting. It's so good.
Especially from an actor who the last two major things I watched him in that were TV shows are Parks and Rec, where he's a very tertiary character and also very broad, and then Arrested Development, where he's a tertiary character and also even broader. And so to watch him do this delicate, dramatic work is astounding. I love it so much. So... yeah,
This show is so good.
This is a good fucking show.
Yeah.
So thank you for sticking around if you stuck with us through the whole comedy versus drama discussion. I needed to have it.
You know, it's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure. So yeah, all right. Well, we will be back next week. And in the meantime, definitely like and subscribe. And if you are so inclined, here is where you can donate to our cause. And then other than that, we will just see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.